This is Mastering the Art of Exercise, Strategies for Busy Dads, Week 2, Lesson 2. All right, and so in Week 1, we talked about nutrition. Now we'll be continuing on with exercise in Week 2. And in Week 3, we're gonna have strategies that we can put in place. And this is Dr. Mark for the Dad Strength Academy. I teach new dads to level up their exercise and nutrition with no BS so that they can be fit and devoted fathers. Today, we're gonna be talking about turning pro and treating exercise with just the same commitment as you would work and parenting. We're also going to be talking about scheduling your workouts and making them non-negotiable. And we're talking about executing and staying motivated, reminding yourself why exercise is important to you and your kids. All right, I want you to meet Tom. So Tom is a busy dad who struggled to find time for exercise. His name and image have been changed. After working with Tom has decided to implement some of the major strategies that we've talked about. He now has more energy and feels much more equipped to handle the challenges of fatherhood. Yay, Tom. And talk a little bit more about me. So over the last 5 years, I've been consistently able to hit my workouts about 5 to 8 times per week, almost religiously. And right now I have a 1.5-year-old boy named Colston. Currently, I'm weight training 5 days per week, and I'm doing 3 days a week of cardio. When the world's ending, I'll still try and get these workouts in. Here's a breakdown of my schedule. As you can see, I give myself at least one rest day. And of course, this schedule does not include any work, relationship, other obligations. So this brings me to strategy number 1, turning pro. This is a phrase by Steven Pressfield, author of The War of Art, a book I highly recommend. What he believes is that if you're doing something as an amateur, you're not gonna get it done. If you're doing it as a pro, pros show up, pros get stuff done. Let me give you an example to illustrate this. Many people try and learn a new language. They try for a little bit, then they quit, and they go for a little bit and they quit. He calls this amateur behavior. On the other hand, a pro fully commits. This is probably you with your work and parenting obligations. If it's Monday morning and you don't really feel like going to work, you go to work. If it's 2 a.m. and your kid is up screaming and he needs you, you're there for your kid. This is what a pro does. So I want you to start training and exercising like a pro. Not in the literal sense unless you're a professional athlete. When we talk about health, exercise may be the most important, the most significant contributor to our overall well-being. That's why exercise should be one of our top priorities. For a lot of people, it's here. I'll get to it if I want to. Again, that's amateur behavior. So I want you to put it in your schedule and I want you to fulfill that. Which brings me to strategy number 2, scheduling in your workouts. Most people, especially new parents, are overcommitted and can overestimate what they can get done in a week. One way to determine if we're overcommitted is by start putting stuff in our calendar. If we have 10 one-hour obligations to do in a week, and we can only find time for 6 of them in our schedule, we quickly know that we don't have time to do everything. Scheduling in tells us what to prioritize and also has a greater likelihood of getting done if it's in our calendar. So I want you to look at exercise and determine where it can fit into your schedule. Whether that's 3 times a week at 2 hours, whether that's 5 to 8 workouts a week, or whether that's just 3 or 4 times for 15 minutes, schedule it in. This is way better than 0 amounts of exercise. Make sure whenever you schedule in, you can reasonably get done. And if you're overachieving, you can always add more. If you're not hitting it, slowly take it down. But I want you to find that sweet spot where we're putting it into our calendar and we're achieving it 85, 90, 100% of the time. And strategy number 3 is execute. Many people make a plan to follow through and then never do so. For example, 40% of people make a New Year's resolution, and yet most resolutions are done by early February, late January. And I know that as a new parent, each day brings its own variability and surprises, which is why I have a rule for myself. I'm gonna execute over the entire week. So I can move a workout before the day or after the day, but I know that in that week, I'm gonna get my 8 workouts done. This allows us enough flexibility in our busy lives, but it also rigid enough to make sure that we're hitting it like a pro. On the topic of executing, one of the most important things is finding your reasoning, your motivation for exercise. Many people start strong and then motivation can start to wane. However, if you have a why, that's much more sustained motivation, almost a habit. Whether it's to improve your health, to be a good example for your kids, or even just feeling better in your own skin, having that clear vision can make all the difference. It's when times are tough, it's when you don't get sleep that night, that's where we need to especially implement these strategies. Having them in your schedule, executing, and finding that reason why can be really difficult even on those difficult days. So I want you to take some time, just 10, 15 minutes, and reflect on why exercise is important to you. So I want you to turn pro. I want you to start scheduling your workouts, and I want you to execute. Okay, so this was lesson 2. Lesson 3 is going to be all about weight training before we wrap it all up with some common misconceptions. And this has been Dr. Mark with the Dad Strength Academy.